So we've got Samuel Bowen, the man, the myth, the legend, up next. Here on Red's Room. Red's, I can't even remember what number concert we're at, 150 something or other. Red, if you want it in there, just, I don't know. I get too much going on. Oh, you just said 156. Thank you. Okay. Concert 156. If you are just joining us, you need to go back and check out the Facebook postings, also the YouTube recordings of Glory Road and Brendan Brooks. They were phenomenal, but you were just in time for Samuel Bowen. How you doing, Sam?
Hi, Kat. I'm good. I'm good. Great to be
Good.
here. Thank you, Red, for having me, and thank you, Kat, for hosting tonight.
Oh, my
And
pleasure. My pleasure. So tell us what you've been up to. You wrote a book on your bio, so you get to pick and choose. Tell us what you think we need to know about you.
that was the short version.
I believe it.
Uh, what I've been up to? So it's been a good spring. I did a bunch of shows with Mitch McVicker on his Mass and Island leg of his tour. I opened to a sold out show with Mark and Rayanne Mandeville, who are folk legends in Massachusetts.
Mm.
They're really, really good. And that was a great night. I'm recording a new album to follow up the solo album from 2020. I've got like 10 songs recorded so far, and two or three of them are Christmas holiday songs. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, very cool.
Got some friends gonna come play. Mitch McVicker did some tracks on it. Sammy Horner of the my Irish friend of the Electrics is gonna do some stuff on it. Got something. Hopefully, I'll get Michael Rowe the 77s on it too. And I got Dave Dick. Dave Dick is a David Dick is a champion banjo and acoustic player. I played with Northern Lights for years in Blackstone Valley Bluegrass. Great guy, and he's also a great luthier. He fixes all my guitars. Not that I break them, but they seem to need attention. So
It's an
he's
important
going to be
person to
on
have
it.
in your pocket.
It's been really, really good, thank the Lord. Since
Wow.
things was real slow, as you know, in 2019 and 20 and even
Yep.
21.
Yep.
So
I
it's
think we all got the legs just kicked right out from underneath us. So it
I'll
sounds
tell
like
you.
you're coming roaring back though, my friend. That's awesome.
I appreciate it. So,
Oh, looking forward to
first
that new
song,
album. Yeah, tell us about
yeah.
what you got here, your first song.
This is a new song. First two songs here are new, and it's off the album. I've only played this once in public, so I call you guys public. And this is, with the news, everything that's going on, Ukraine has been on my heart. And what we started seeing all the news and the videos and watching what's happening to the people in Ukraine. And so, being a songwriter, I wrote a song about it. And this is called Kiev, or Kiev actually. Kiev is the Ukrainian language key for the city,
Mm.
and Kiev is the Russian interpretation of that name. So, out of honor to what's going on in the people in Ukraine, I call this Kiev.
Awesome. Thank you
Okay,
so much,
you guys can hear
Samuel.
me, right?
Woo. Yes, we can. Take it
Okay.
away.
And actually, I just realized that I'm going to bring the words up because I'm old. So,
Old brain gets us all.
sunrise over scorched horizons, smoke hides the city from view. What were souls on bustling streets, pitter patter of little feet, are no longer to be found. watch from our armchairs and iPhones. Families huddled in the dark. Their neighbors send their sons to a war that will never be done on the orders of just one man. Welcome back to 1941. Their grandparents' journey to the past. More bottom feeders passing themselves off as leaders. Once again the children suffer. History continues to repeat. Human nature remains the same. It's all so sad. Another power grab. Another generation of refugees. Welcome back to 1941. Their grandparents' journey to the past. We're all longing for peace, praying this violence will cease, so the children won't suffer. Welcome back to 1941. Their grandparents' journey to the past. We're all longing for peace, praying this violence will cease, hoping the children won't suffer. Hoping the children won't suffer.
Wow, Samuel Bowen. What an amazing song, especially for this weekend. Welcome back to 1941. For anyone watching overseas, this is the weekend that the United States really just takes a moment and takes a breath to remember the fallen soldiers in all of the wars that we've had. And yeah, there's some real shades in 1941 here. It's sad, but you put that into words so eloquently.
Well, it's one of those songs, you know, as a songwriter, at least for me, 90% is inspiration, 10% is working out the bugs. And, you know, that one came fairly easy. And so I recorded it. It will be on the next album. And this next song will also be on the album. Kind of has a bigger picture overtone as well. This is called Be Ye Glad. Just press a button here. Okay, here we go. these nights of a restless remorse, when the heart and the soul of a nation lay wounded and cold as a corpse, from the grave of the innocent Adam comes a psalm bringing joy to the sad. All your cries have been heard, and the ransom has been paid up in full. Be ye glad, be ye glad, oh, be ye glad. Every debt that you ever had has been paid up in full by the grace of the Lord. Be ye glad, be ye glad, be ye glad. So be like lights on the rim of the water, giving hope in a storm sea of night. Be a refuge in this slaughter to these refugees in their flight. For you are timeless and part of a puzzle, and you are winsome and young as a lad. There's no disease or struggle that can pull you from God. Be ye glad, be ye glad, oh, be ye glad. Every debt that you ever had has been paid up in full by the grace of the Lord. Be ye glad, be ye glad, be ye glad, be ye glad, whoa, be ye glad. Every debt that you ever had has been paid up in full by the grace of the Lord. Be glad, be glad, be glad, be glad, be glad, be glad.
Wow, we are listening.
Hi, you all still there?
Yeah, we're here, buddy. We are listening to Samuel Bowen and enjoying every minute of it. Oh my goodness. You know, that song really reminds me that, you know, even though the world seems like it's going crazy and we're all just thinking, "Oh my gosh, what can we do?" We have to remember that there are no accidents. God put us here with our specific gifts for such a time as this. And we just need
Okay.
to we just need to remember and be glad that he's got us here because he has something for us to do. Just ask him.
Well, thanks for that, Kat. And thank you, Red, for having me and allowing me for the past 10 minutes to be a reality show. So, I got one more song for you.
Got one more? All
I'll
right.
do a quick story. I'm going to mention Sam's got stories, so now I feel obligated to have to tell one. No, I don't mind.
No, that's perfect.
This is,
I
I'll
love
try
to
to make
hear the
it as short as
stories.
possible. I'll try to make this as short as possible. This last song I wrote years ago and recorded on one of my albums called Speak to Me. That's it. Speak to Me. It's on Speak to Me. And I took a group of teenagers on a trip to Guatemala. missions trip. We were helping an orphanage in the hills of Guatemala in 1999. And I think they'd been out of the Civil War for about 6 or 7 years. So we're on this plane, to Guatemala, in about 6, 7 hours of flight and travel time, and I've got a schedule, and got to keep to the schedule. That's the way I am. Got to keep to the schedule. Oh, I've got a calendar. So as we're flying into Guatemala, the pilot comes on and says we have to land in another country next to Guatemala. I believe it was El Salvador. Was that it? El Salvador? It borders in Guatemala, and it was in the middle of a civil war, just coming out of one. And we landed on the tarmac, and they said, just a few minutes to repair this problem. A light went on, what do they call it, the dashboard on a plane? They don't call it a dashboard, do they? But that's what I call it. And a red light went on. And so we sat there 10 minutes away from landing in Guatemala and starting our trip, and I've got these teenagers, and an hour went by, 2 hours went by, 3 hours went by, about 3.5 hours went by. And there's only about 25 people on the plane, tops, including my kids, my teenagers, who by now are just absolutely, you know how teenagers get. They didn't sleep the night before. They're too excited. They've been drinking Mountain Dew. They've been eating airplane peanuts off the plane. They're psyched. And after about 3.5 hours, the doors on the plane break open, or they are opened on each end of the plane, and these giant men come on the plane with submachine guns, and they stand at the exits. And I said, what's going on here? And I said to the stewardess, are they afraid someone's going to get off the plane? And he said, no. She said, no, sir. They're afraid someone might get on the plane. Oh. So with these men, who are very large men, with bandoleros and M16s on each exit. Okay, that's fine. I'm good. And another hour, another 2 hours, another 3 hours. We've been on the plane 7 hours at this point. And, I've got a schedule to keep. I got people waiting for me in Guatemala. So to make a long story short, all of a sudden, one of those men with the M16s and his bandoleros and his uniform, he comes up to me in the aisle seat. And meanwhile, my people have been talking to all the pilots and the stewardesses, and in those days, you could go right up front into the cabin and get a tour, and they're telling everybody on the plane, wow, we're on a missions trip. We're going to Guatemala. And eating all the peanuts they can. Whatever's left on the plane. So this soldier comes up to me and says, Senor, he talks in broken English, and he says, Senor, you come with me. And I said, excuse me? He says, Senor, you come with me. And the stewardess is looking at me, kind of shaking her head. You don't want to do this. I said, Senor, you come with me right now. Okay. Sure. So I stand up, and I get out in the aisle, and he puts his hand on my shoulder and says, you come with me. And he starts walking me down the aisle. At this point, you could hear a pin drop on the plane. And I'm wondering what's going on. And I'm not feeling comfortable with this. Walks me off the plane. And the plane has that giant tube attached to it, the walkway, covered walkway, right? Mm-hmm. And he walks me, and I'm walking, and I'm saying, well, Lord, I guess this is it. I guess this is where it all ends, in a Civil War-torn country, on a tarmac of a plane where I'm not supposed to be. And I can kind of laugh about it now, but it was a bit of a nerve-wracking experience. So we walk to the end of the ramp, and he stops me. And he turns around, he looks at me, and he goes, Senor, and I'm not making this up. This is what happened. He says, Senor, get on your knees. He tells me to get on my knees. This is now when I'm like, on the inside, I'm panicking. I'm like, well, there's a plan. And if this is where it ends, this is where it ends. So he says, get on your knees, Senor. So I get on. Actually, he says, get on your knees, Senor. And I think he saw the fright in my eyes. And he said, and he kind of shakes his head and goes, no, Senor. And he gets on his knees. And to give you an idea of how tall he was, he's still almost taller than me on his knees, or
Oh
about my
gosh.
height. And he says, come down, get on your knees. So I get on my knees, very gingerly, and he's in front of me with his bandoleros, holding a rifle, M16. And then he points and he says, Senor, look over there. And I said, okay, this is it. And he points down, and as I look over where the walkway meets the wall, I see this giant, almost bigger than a lunar moth, and it's glittering in the sun rays that are coming through the wall. And he says to me, Senor, you will never see anything like that except in this country. You will never see a moth like that except in this country. And it was beautiful. But I'm kind of like, okay, that's wonderful. That's great. See how it shimmers in the sun, and it's just so. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's quite a moth. I mean, in other circumstances, it was really beautiful. And he stands up and he helps me get up because I needed the help. He helps me get up, and I don't know what's going on. He looks in my eyes, and this is what he says. He says, Senor, you are a pastor. I said, well, I'm a youth pastor on a missions trip. I got these kids. We're going to Guatemala. Ah, I heard you all talk in the plane. And he says to me, Senor, I know I am a sinner and going to hell, and there's nothing I can do about it. That's what he says to me.
Wow.
And I said, I'm in the same boat, buddy. I'm in the same boat. Do you have a Bible at home? See. Look up John 3:16. I gave him some verses out of Romans, and I told him we're all in the same boat. But I said, the good news. You know, the gospel is about the good news, and it's simple. We make it way too difficult. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes we hear people say Jesus takes you as you are, and then as soon as someone makes a commitment to Jesus, we begin to tell them how they have to change and what clothes they got to wear and what they should be doing and how they should grow and how many times a day we read the Bible. It's simple. Christ died for the ungodly. He rose again so that we could live. He's love. That's the gospel. You can add anything else onto it. You can create entire genres of Christian music. You can create universities. That's the gospel. And it'll always be the gospel. And at certain times in our life, we will need that gospel. We will need that gospel. We'll need that side of the cross where we need forgiveness. Wow. And I told him very simply the gospel. And he said, thank you, Senor. And he marched me back up the walkway, sat me down, and everybody in the plane was like, he's back. Later on, we can fly. We went to Guatemala and continued. And I learned, would God mess up my schedule to tell one person that he loved them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he would. So with that, thank you very much. This is called Your Grace.
Oh, thank you, Samuel Bowen.
Sometimes I slip and slide. The way I stumble, you think I was blind. Just when I was ready to give up, you unexpectedly showed up and wiped the tears from my eyes. Your grace, your grace, your grace, your grace. If I wore my heart on my sleeve, two broken pieces is all you'd see. And just when I thought all hope was lost, I hadn't counted on the cross, the compass in my search for direction. Your grace, your grace, your grace is sufficient. Your grace, through the rain and the storm, through the mud and the clay, since the day I was born, you've always been the same. Your grace covers me, your grace, all I need, your grace, every day, your grace is sufficient, your grace is sufficient, your grace is sufficient, your grace. Something like that.
Something like that. My goodness, that was amazing, Sam. That was your what a good reminder. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So, I think we've reached the point in our time together where it is time for you to promote thyself. We know you've got an album coming out. Where can we find you? What are you up to?
Okay, so put in Samuel Bowen music. I'm streamed all over the place. I'm on Amazon. The last album is called Bleeding Daylight. If you go to Facebook, you can get my personal page, Samuel Bowen, and then I would direct you from there to my fairly new solo page, which is called Sam Bowen and the All Nighters. The All Nighters are a band I put together with different people when I need a band. I would also direct you to Blue Cat Groove. Blue Cat Groove was a award-nominated blues band I toured with for 7 years.
Yeah,
And we've
you've
got
been with
some
them
great
for a while.
streams by the thousands out there. People haven't forgotten us, even though we broke up like 3 years ago. So I'm out
You
there.
know, I didn't even know you broke up.
You can find me. Oh yeah, but well, about 3 years ago, Kimberly Hodgins Smith, our lead singer, amazing singer, she moved to Nashville,
Oh,
which
good
is where
for
she's
her.
from. She's from Nashville, and she's actually studying nursing. And it was a great run with Blue Cat Groove. We opened up for nationals, and we played festivals, and we had a great time. The big blues, rock blues band sound.
Mm-hmm.
Had a good
Love
time. And
that.
the album will be out the end of the year, and it'll people will know about it. So it's
Yeah,
all
you'll definitely have to include us on your promotional stuff. Let us know when that's coming.
so
Awesome.
everybody out there wants to friend me because I don't do Twitter and all that other stuff. I'm just I have only so many years left. So I don't want to waste it on social media. Actually, I am getting ready to sign a distribution deal with a label. They're going to take care of all that for me. So that's going to be nice. I just finished,
Phenomenal.
so I'll have someone else do it for me. So
Ah,
and I have
glad to
enough
hear it,
money
my
for a
friend.
month. So again,
Well, glad to hear things are looking up for you, that you're staying busy, that God's got you working, and wow, what a phenomenal talent you are and a heart for God. Thank you so much, Sam.
thanks, kiddo. Good job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So,